Good morning to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Today's editorial is about the warrants issued against Israeli and Hamas leaders, whether it can be justified or not, and in the past who received and what exactly happened, and also what is the impact on Israel and the impact on Hamas. It's about this is about the editorial in a nutshell. Let us start with the question, what is enrichment? As usual, you improve your comprehension. Today's editorial is not that easy to comprehend. You got to listen very carefully. Vocabulary, grammar, effective English, mini mocks at 7:30. Vocabulary consolidation. Today, no mini mocks. Please don't join. Let us start with the question, what is this editorial about? The editorial discusses the recent actions taken by the International Criminal Court ICC. What do the letters stand for? International Criminal Court in seeking arrest warrants for leaders of both Hamas and Israel. As I said, it is about seeking arrest warrants for both Hamas and Israel. The moment you see both, you have to focus on end. And what is a common error? A lot of people say both as well as. This is wrong. You have to use both and. What is the tone of the editorial? The tone of the editorial is balanced and analytical. Analytical, seek, sort. Balanced and analytical. Job seekers, right. Let us go to editorial vocabulary. A few important words are there. The very first word I use regularly, justify, justified. Part of speech, verb. Having a good reason of being right, warranted. Warranted here means justified. And having a good reason, whatever you do, you try to justify, means what? You give a good reason, then it is justified. Look at the example. His decision to cancel the event was justified due to the severe weather warnings. He decided to cancel the event, and that decision was justified. On what basis? Due to the severe weather warnings. That means he was right. Warranted, you got to be careful, it has many meanings. It warrants means it demands. Reasonable, defensible. More than defensible, warranted, reasonable. Unjustified, unwarranted, unreasonable. Easy to remember. Brutal goes more with killings. It also goes with massacre. What is the spelling of massacre? Meaning of massacre? Killing people brutally on large scale. Brutal, part of speech adjective, extremely harsh or severe. Cruel, it has two different meanings. In this context, the first one, harsh or severe. Usually cruel when it comes to killings or massacre. The brutal honesty. Here it is not cruel. Here it means a severe, point blank. The brutal honesty of his critique left her in tears. Her critique was, what can we say, very uh, clear in his criticism, or frank, also candid. Based on that, brutal honesty means very clear in criticizing. She was left her in tears. A very good example, savage, harsh, cruel. When it comes to the meaning cruel, we use words like savage, cruel, one group. Antonyms, gentle, kind, compassionate. Kind, compassionate, one and the same. Gentle, opposite. Flatter, we have got many a time. Flatter, flattering. Part of speech, a verb. To praise excessively or insincerely. Flatter, usually I give the meaning false praise. Example, he tried to flatter his boss to get a promotion. That's what some people do. Compliment, praise, butter up. Butter up also, it goes more with everyday English. And compliment, immediately you have to become alert and you have to recollect the other compliment. Compliment, CMOPLE. Comple, Compli. What is the difference? This complement means something that completes something else, complementary activity. This compliment means a praise. But here, flatter, we cannot use the word. These are all positive words. False praise, we use the word flatter. You got to be careful. Criticize, insult, disparage, an important word. Starvation goes with food. Suffering or death caused by lack of food. Part of speech, noun. The refugees were on the brink of starvation. Brink means edge. Edge of starvation after weeks without adequate food supplies. No food supplies, obviously, refugees become, they get starved. They become starved. Famine, we have got many a time an important word. Hunger, malnutrition. Both are different. Famine means no food at all. Malnutrition, food is there but not nutritious. Subtle difference is there. Nourishment, plenty, abundance. When it comes to famine, opposite words I would rather consider plenty, abundance, not nourishment. Nourishment goes more with malnutrition. Extermination, an important word. Part of speech, noun, because nation, Tion. Complete destruction or eradication. Eradicate means remove, keep the wolf at the door. Who is this? Naidu, very good. Complete destruction or eradication. The extermination of invasive species was necessary to protect the local ecosystem. Sometimes what happens, a particular species from some other place may destroy the local flora and fauna. This sentence talks about that. The extermination or eradication of the invasive species was necessary to protect the local ecosystem. Please focus on the examples. Sometimes you may get context, similar context in the exam. Annihilation, very important word. Eradication, we all know. Elimination, we all know. Antonyms are preservation, an important word. Conservation, they go hand in hand. Protection, a simple word. Whenever a particular species, here because it talks about species, you have to recollect two words. Endangered. Endangered means a threatened. When a particular species is endangered, you don't do anything about that. What happens? It becomes extinct, vanish from the planet Earth. Futile, we have got many a time. It goes with effective English and also everyday English. Futile, it takes a word, futile, efforts, adjective, incapable of producing any useful result, pointless, useless. There, as I said, it goes with efforts. Their efforts to save the old building were ultimately futile, means no use. Useless, pointless, vain. I will write one important sentence. I tried, but in vain. Tell me what is the meaning of this. This is an important pattern you have to know. I tried, but in vain. Ha, very good, Naidu. I appreciate you. Means of no use, pointless, vain, effective, useful, productive. Simple words. Obliged, you have to know the noun form. What is the noun form of this word? Obligation. We have two helping verbs you have to recollect that deal with obligation. One is must, the other one is have to or has to. Must is used to express a personal obligation or an obligation imposed by a speaker. Have to or has to, obligation imposed by an external authority or a situation. Very important, this one especially. And what is the past form? I had to do that. I have to do that. I had to do that. Legally or morally bound to do something. Grateful or indebted. Be in debt. Debt, be silent. She felt obliged to help her neighbor with the heavy lifting. Perhaps she felt morally obliged because of heavy lifting. Synonyms: bound, compelled, required. Compelled means forced. I'm compelled to say that. I'm compelled to do that. Means I'm forced to do that. Antonyms: unobligated, free, unbound. Simple words. Yes. Shore up, phrasal verb. To support or strengthen. To get the support or strengthen. The government introduced new policies to shore up the economy. Means what? To strengthen the economy. Synonyms are support, reinforce, bolster. We have got many a time. Important words you have to remember. Weaken, undermine. We have got many a time. Diminish. But diminish goes more with a reduction in something. Either quality, numbers, diminishing numbers, deteriorating numbers, and diminishing quality. Let us go to the next one. Flip side. On the flip side, usually we say noun, not a phrasal verb, meaning the opposite, less familiar or less popular aspect of something. I would rather consider the third one, less popular aspect of something. Something on the negative side. The flip side of his generosity means the negative side of his generosity was that he sometimes neglected his own needs. He is good, he is generous, but what is the flip side? He neglected his own needs. Opposite side, other side, contrast. Not exactly the synonyms, not exactly the antonyms. Same side, identical aspect. That's all about the editorial vocabulary. Let us go to the editorial. Justified balance. Justified means what? Can you have a strong reason to have the right reason or to have a reason based on reason? Justified balance. You cannot understand. On the ICC move against Israel, Hamas. When you read this, you should understand whatever has been said equally applicable to Israel and both Israel and Hamas based on that justified balance. What is the main idea of this editorial? The ICC has done well. Present perfect tense. Tense is understood. To save time, I'm not writing. To move against Israel Hamas leaders for Gaza crimes. Context, backdrop are diminishing, waning also, you can say. Here, Gaza crimes, we all know what exactly happened on October 7th, 2023. Ever since, there has been something like a lot of deaths, especially women and children. In seeking arrest warrants against the leadership of Hamas as well as of Israel, the Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has taken a welcome first step towards accountability for the war crimes committed since October 7th, 2023. It talks about an initiative. What is the initiative? Seeking arrest warrants against whom? The leadership of Hamas as well as of Israel. This part is important because two reasons. One reason, as well as I've been telling you guys, whenever you come across expressions like with, together with, along with, as well as, and so many are there, the verb agrees with the first subject, not the second subject. That you have to recollect. Second thing, here in the exam they may give the leadership of Hamas as well as Israel, then it is not correct. You got to look at the preposition. The leadership of Hamas as well as of Israel. We can also use the phrase that of Israel. Who is seeking arrest warrants against the leadership of Hamas and of Israel? The Office of the Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court has taken a welcome step. In seeking, it has taken a welcome step, this particular court, International Criminal Court, towards accountability. When they seek arrest warrants, it shows that they are looking for accountability for the war crimes committed since October 7, 2023. I hope you guys got it. It was the day Hamas launched, October 7, 2023. It was a day past. Hamas launched its deadly attacks, killing over 1,200 Israelis and taking at least 245 hostages. Hostage, you know the meaning I have already given. The Israeli military retaliation. Retaliate means what? Before that, we have, yes, hostage crisis. What is the combination you have to know? First, hostage, kept in captivity, and someone demands something. Hostage combination, you have to recollect hostage crisis. Retaliate. Retaliate means what? Simple English, to give back. Someone attacks you, you attack back. That is known as retaliation. Gaza has been brutal. Brutal means in this context cruel, savage. All these words you have to recollect. And relentless, it goes with you guys. What is the combination I usually relentless means what? Continuous, without stopping. And what is a typical combination? Relentless efforts. And the death count has crossed present perfect tense. Hamas attacked first. Based on that, the reaction, retaliation, the Israeli military retaliation on Gaza has been present perfect active voice, brutal and relentless, cruel and continuous. And the death count has crossed 35,000 people, most of them, unfortunately, women and children, has crossed again present perfect. The application for warrants, which will be decided by a pre-trial chamber of ICC judges. Who is going to decide this application for warrants? They are seeking, based on that, the application for warrants, which will be decided by a pre-trial chamber of ICC judges. Pre-trial means before trial, will naturally have a greater impact on Israel than on the non-state group. Tell me in this context, what is the non-state group? Please respond immediately. I will wait for a few seconds. This particular trial or the application for warrants, which will be decided by a pre-trial chamber of ICC judges, will naturally have a greater impact. Here it is present tense, on Israel than on the non-state group. No one has responded. Non-state group here means Hamas. State has two meanings. A state like Telangana, a state like Andhra Pradesh, a state like Tamil Nadu. But here that is not the meaning. State, another meaning, a country, a sovereign country. For that also we say a state. If you talk to a student of political science, when you ask him what is the meaning of the word nation state, excuse me, what do we say? Nation state. Nation state means a sovereign state. Here, non-state group. Hamas is not a country, it's a group. Please excuse me. I got a new connection, but still I have a problem with the stylus. Please excuse me. Here, non-state group means Hamas. Very good, Ramesh Naidu. I appreciate that. Now, as I said, it talks about what is a reaction. Israel's immediate concern is a moral equivalence the prosecutor has made. Moral equivalence. Morals means what? Values. Equivalence, same. This is a term used in politics. It means that whatever Hamas did wrong, whatever Israel has been doing wrong. Moral equivalence. This Israel hasn't taken positively. Israel's immediate concern is a moral equivalence a prosecutor has made in leveling charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity against both the national leadership of a democracy and an armed group that wants to destroy it. What is the armed group here? Hamas. And what is the national leadership of a democracy? Israel. Moral equivalence against both that Israel hasn't accepted. Save for Israel's diehard supporters. This is an important expression you have to know. Save. Here, save means don't consider, ignore those people. Diehard supporters of Israel. Save for Israel's diehard supporters, an important expression. I'm sure those who follow movies, they know the expression diehard fans of a particular hero. Have you heard of that expression? Diehard supporters here, including the US and some other governments. Few would disagree, means no one would disagree. Here, few means almost nothing, hardly anything, negative connotation. Few would disagree means no one would, please excuse me, no one would disagree with the balance sought to be struck by ICC prosecutor Karim A.A. Khan. No one would disagree. That's what it means. It may not be flattering, false praise. Flatter means what? False praise. I'm not able to. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu and Defense Minister Yoav Gallant to be named for war crimes and crimes against humanity alongside Yahya Sinwar, head of the Islamic Resistance Movement or Hamas, Mohammed Yab Ibrahim al Masri alias Dave, Commander in Chief of the Al Qassam Brigades, and Ismail Haniya, who heads the Hamas Political Bureau. These are the people it says responsible. It would have been impossible, however, for the ICC prosecutor to ignore what the Israeli leadership has been accused of. It would have been impossible, however, for the ICC prosecutor to ignore. Something cannot be ignored. What is that? The Israeli leadership has been accused of. Today, if you look at Israel, it has been accused of something. What is it? Starvation as a method of war. But Israel does not accept that. That's a different story. Starvation as a method of war and intentionally killing and directing attacks against civilians, among others. All these things Israel may not accept. Hamas has been accused of extermination. Now, what is the allegation, accusation against Hamas? Extermination, eradication, it means annihilation, an important word, murder, rape, torture, and taking hostages. All are not acceptable. Israel has predictably questioned the application, repeating its position that it is engaged in legitimate self defense. Israel has not accepted, and while refusing or defying, it has questioned. That is one thing. It has repeated its position. What is the position taken by Israel? That it is engaged in legitimate self defense. Means what? Legal self defense. That can be justified. To many, the arrest warrants may appear futile. Many people may think these arrest warrants are of no use, futile, no use. What is the reason to feel that way? Those against whom warrants have been issued but remain unexecuted. In the past, a few warrants issued against some important leaders but not executed. They remain unexecuted. Include Russian President Putin and Sudan's President Omar al Bashir. They have received but no action taken. However, regardless of the efficacy of such measures, efficacy means what? Efficiency. Regardless, irrespective of the efficacy of such measures in preventing or punishing war crimes, the step does entail diplomatic cost. Means they may not get arrested, but it is going to make an impact on the diplomatic ties or the diplomatic stand or the image or the position. The step does entail. Here, does entail. The writer can also say entails. Why does entail? For emphasis. I'm not able to write. I'm sorry about that. Listen carefully. We have a problem with the stylus. It means sometimes it is on, sometimes it is off. Some lose contact. A new one also. Here, this is an important expression. If someone asks you, do you like English? For God's sake, don't say I don't like. Casually, you may say, yes, I like English. But you want to emphasize, you will say, yes, I do like English. She likes music. She does like music. She does like music. Emphatic. Emphasis. Emphatic. Does entail diplomatic cost. It is going to cost Israel. Not the Hamas has nothing to lose, but Israel has got a lot to lose. So much is there at stake. Isolation internationally. Does entail diplomatic cost, as member countries of the ICC are obliged to arrest and hand over those against whom warrants are pending under the Rome Statute. Statute already we have got. What does it mean? A written law. The treaty that created the ICC mechanism. This is an important thing from GK point of view. You have to remember this part. Obliged to arrest and hand over those against whom warrants are pending and under the Rome Statute, the treaty that created the ICC mechanism. No one will do that. That is sheer common sense. Yes, I do. I do. It may increase Israel's isolation. This is what the writer means when he or she says cost diplomatic. It does entail diplomatic costs. Israel's isolation on the one hand and harden the US Israeli position on the Palestinian question on the other. These two phrases are very important. On the one hand, on the other hand. Israel has already been isolated, more isolation, and a US Israeli position becomes very tough when it comes to Palestinian issue. Israel, like the US, is not an ICC member state, but as a Putin president shows, this may not be an impediment to the issuance of warrants against its leaders. Russia also not a member, but Putin got the arrest warrant, and this may act as a precedent. Precedent means what? You take something that happened in the past and show it as an example. Impediment intentionally haven't brought the meaning because we have been getting this word. What are the synonyms? Please respond. Impede, impediment, hindrance, block, bottleneck, hurdle. All the words I'm sure you guys know. There may not be a member state, but nothing is going to stop in issuing the warrants. On the flip side, on the negative, this is all positive, asking for accountability. On the flip side, on a little negative side, Mr. Netanyahu will likely use this to shore up his position at home. He will try to take this to his advantage and he may strengthen his leadership or his position at home, back home in the country. That's all about the editorial. Sorry, here and there disturbance because of the stylus. But this editorial, in my opinion, you should read carefully, meticulously, once or twice. A few sentence patterns are quite, intellectually speaking, challenging. That's where you have to focus. Have a nice day, and do remember to subscribe and share. Don't join at 7:30. No mini mocks today. I'm changing the pattern. I want to separate the mini mocks from this and have a separate session because exams